Vishnu Bhakti Radhe Devi Satvachoy Namo Namaha. Jai Tulsi Maharani. Namo Nama Tulasi Krishna Preyase Namo Nama. Radha Krishna say Apava Hey Abhilahase Radha Krishna Seva Pava Hey Abhilahase Hey Abhilahase Ye Tomara Sharalahi Tadavancha Purnahohi Kripakari Koratare Vrindavana Vahasi Morahe Apilas Vilas Kunje Diovas Nayane Rivasada Yugala Rupa Se Nayane Rivasada Yugala Rupa Rahase Enevedanadara Sagiranagatakara Vedanadara Sagiranagatakara Sevahari Korodie Koronija Dase Sevahari Korodie Koronija Dase Dina Krishna Dasi Kohi Hey Namora Kohi Hey Namora Kohi Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Bhagase Preme Sadayena Bhagase Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Bhagase Shri Radha Govinda Preme Sadayena Bhagase Tulase Krishna Preyase Namo Nama Tulasi Krishna Say Namo Nama Yannikani Chapapandi Brahmachati Chaga Kanidani Pranasyanti Radhaksina Pate Pate. Yannikani Chapapani Ramahachati Kanichak Ha Kanidani Pranasyanti Radakshina Pate Pate. Pranasyanti Radakshina Pate Pate. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, Devi, Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi, 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 Jaya Tulsi Devi, Jaya Tulsi Devi. Vrindayai Tulsi Devi, Priyayai Keshavashacha, Vishnu Bhakti Devi, Satchavachai Namo Namaha. We offer our most respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnavas, Lord, who would just like desire to fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Careful. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Itipada Haguri Gopi Jana Manava Girivada Guri Yasudanana Brajana Ranjana Yasudanana Brajachana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Banachari Yamuna Tera Banachari Jai Ho Raj Umadava Kunyabihare Jai Hurad Umadhova Kunyabihare Gopijana Balava Kiribharadhati Gopijana Balava Kiribharadhati
Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasudanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachahati Yamunatira Vanachahati Jairad Umad Huva Kunya Bihati Jairad Umadava Kunja Bihati Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahangsa Paravatikacharya O Suttara Sutashi Shimad His Divine Grace via Chananana Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Prabhu Nityananda Shidway Gadadha Shivasati Gold Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Saim Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Sami Ki Jai Yavanamai Ki Jai Shivani Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrindi Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarani. So today we're reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 41st chapter, text 27. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Manamsi Tasam Aravinda Lochanaha Pragalma Lila Asitavalokai Jahara Mata Dviradendra Vikramo Grisham Adadach Dri Ramanat Manotsavam Manam Sita Samaravinda Lochana Pragalvalila Sitavalokai Jaharamata Viratendra Vikramo Trisham Dadat Shri Ramanat Manotsavam. Manam sita samaravinda lochana. Pragalva lila hasitava lokai. Jaharamatad viradendra vikramo. Drisham dadat Sri Ramanat Manotsavam. Manam sita samaravinda lochana. Pragalva lila hasitava lokai. Jaharamatadvira Chandra Vikramo. Drishamdadat Sri Ramanat Manotsavam. Okay. All right. Manamsi, the minds. Tasam, there. Aravinda, like lotuses. Lochana, he whose eyes. Pragalba, bold. Leela, with his pastimes. Hasita, smiling. Avalokai, with his glances. Jahara, he took away. Mata, in rut. Advirada Indra, like a lordly elephant. Vikramaha, whose gait. Drisham, to their eyes. Dadat, affording. Shri, of the goddess of fortune. Ramana, which is the source of pleasure. Atmana, with his body. Utsavam, a festival. Translation, the lotus-eyed Lord, smiling as he recalled his bold pastimes. Captivated those ladies' minds with his glances. He walked with the gait of a lordly elephant in rut. Rut means, anyway, he's interested in the females. Yeah. Except for human beings. I've seen human beings in rut. I've actually seen it. I've seen it, believe me. Yep. Creating a fest. What? Yes, I've seen it in males. They walk like they're, anyway, when they're lusty as dogs. Creating a festival for their eyes with his transcendental body, which is the source of pleasure for the divine goddess of fortune. So you can repeat. The lotus-eyed Lord, smiling as he recalled his bold pastimes, captivated those ladies' minds with his glances. He walked with the gait of a lordly elephant in a rut, creating a festival for their eyes with his transcendental body, which is the source of pleasure for the divine goddess of fortune. So, commentary, no commentary by the followers of Srila Prabhupada, but there are commentaries by the great acharyas. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur states, Krishna is described as Sri Brahmana to indicate that he gave pleasure to the women of Mathura with his beauty, Sri. By the beauty of his body, Atmana, the women's eyes, derive complete bliss, Ut Savam, enthusiasm, festival. He stole their minds. This indicates that by giving them enjoyment of the eyes, they became thrilled, and without their noticing, he then stole the jewel of their minds. Uh-oh. Okay. Jiva Goswami states, so far off, he gave pleasure to the eyes of the women by his form, which caused rati even in Lakshmi. When he came closer, whoops, this is some English mistake. When he came closer, he gave pleasure to their eyes by his lotus eyes. Yep. Then he gave pleasure by his bold, playful, smiling glances. In this way, he stole their minds. Pragalpa means he was capable of stealing their minds, or his brows danced playfully and his smiles, because playful on reaching, so many editing mistakes, because playful on reaching the height of cleverness in the Kaishora age. Different types of smiles indicated his different emotions. His glances also display these emotions. His feet moved boldly as if he were a mad elephant. Though the singular manat could be used to express the meaning, the plural manangsi is used to show that all their minds were stolen. The meaning becomes startling by indicating that even though they were all shy, all their minds became captivated. Their minds were like their treasures, and he was greedy for those treasures. Oh my God. God is greedy. But his greedy is not like our greediness. His greediness is because he wants the best thing. It's out of love, real love. Not that he just wanted to be appreciated by everybody like we do. He actually was concerned. He loved them and he wanted to please them. This is suitable since their minds were filled with prema. He gave them pleasure and then stole their minds. This suggests his cleverness in stealing. It is seen that clever thieves steal wealth by deceiving people when there's a great festival. You see this at Mayapur, as many pickpockets. You go into the temple, during the festivals, they always say, there's always an announcement in the morning, be careful of pickpockets. And you always hear about people having their stuff stolen in Mayapur. The verse expresses the order in which they saw him from far to close up. The order of the words in this verse are as follows. With his lotus eyes, he stole their mind. What then can be said of his whole body, which is the shelter of various pastimes? The words in the instrumental case show progressively how their minds became captivated. Sanatana Goswami's commentary is basically the same thing. Just going through it real quickly. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. Sanatana Goswami's commentary. So let's go back to the verse. Again. Vanam Sita Samaravinda Lochana Pragalpa Lila Sita Valokai Jaharamata Dviratendra Vikramo Vishamdadat Sri Ramanot Ramanat Manotsavam. So Omagana Timidanda Shagananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Un Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So I'm going to ask a question of everyone at the beginning. Is Krishna the most beautiful person? Don't answer Mother only. You know the answer. Anyone else? Most attractive person? Yes or no? Oh, okay. He knows. Actually, there's a quotation here from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Very interesting. He says, if Sri Radhika's beauty were not greater than the beauty of Krishna, who is overwhelmed by his own beauty, then she would not have been able to attract that most enchanting Krishna. Thus, she is known as Madan Mohan Mohini. Krishna is compared to the full moon and Radha's like as effulgence. She is also the origin of all Krishna's energies. Therefore, she's called the Adi Shakti. Adi Shakti is the name of Radharani. So, there's another quote from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur I wanted to read that indicates the attractiveness of Krishna's toenails. Just like when we're meditating on the deities, we're supposed to meditate on the toes or the feet of Krishna first. So this is actually from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Nectar of Instructions for Immortality. He actually gives 108 instructions for immortality. It's really interesting literature. He says, a Vaishnava has no possessions. Nothing can tempt his mind. We were talking about this last night, how a Vaishnava has no possessions. And then this was in reference to that one verse in the Bhagavatam, Ishahamanu Vinami Harishe Tadanam Shanai. For those who I especially favor, I take away everything. So his friends and relatives reject him. Prabhupada was very fond of this verse because he could resonate with it in many different ways. So friends and relatives reject him and they just have to take shelter of Krishna. So what does it mean? So does it mean if you become a Vaishnava that Krishna really takes away everything in terms of, you're just walking around in rags? Not necessarily. If you're thinking that you have something, then Krishna may do that to you. But if you understand, as the Upanishad states, Ishavashamidam Saram Yadgudisha, Jagajam Jagatina Jana Bunjara Makakakasha Svidinam, everything is owned by Krishna. You understand that you don't have anything, right? Nothing is yours. Nirmana Mohajita Sangha Dosha, Vyatmanicha, Vanivrita Kama. And when you understand that, you understand you have no possessions. Because Manasa Deha Geha Yoga Shamor. What is it? Arpilam Tuya Nandakashur. My mind, my body, my home, everything is yours. Anyway, here's the rest of the quote. A Vaishnava has no possessions. That means he also knows he can't possess something. In addition to having no possessions, he can't possess anything. Therefore, nothing can tempt his mind. Wow. Nothing in this world. No beautiful sunset. No, I was just listening to a memory, a Srila Prabhupada memory, how the devotees were just sitting. I forget exactly where it was. They were just sitting watching the sun come down and everything like that. Anyway, so nothing tempts your mind if you're a pure devotee. There's nothing extraordinary in this world or the next worth coveting for him. And I'm going to add, or to see. He desires only to see the beauty of the toenails of Krishna's lotus feet. Pretty nice quote. Whenever we are not attracted to serving the Lord, we should understand that we have been attacked and captured by Maya's illusory energy. In other words, whenever you're experiencing non-attraction or, not feeling attracted to Krishna's lotus feet or Krishna's service, that means you're captivated. There's no in between. If you're not feeling it, you're captivated by the illusory energy. So, anyway, talking about Krishna's beauty, There's many interesting stories. Another story I was thinking of when I was reading this particular verse was the story of the fruit seller in Vrindavan. And of course, sometimes some of the things we're going to be talking about today are in reference to Krishna's beauty in Vrindavan, which is even more than Krishna's beauty outside of Vrindavan, because that's one of the four qualities that Krishna only exhibits in Vrindavan. The beauty that's unexcelled even by Lord Narayan or Krishna's expansion as Dwarkadish or Mathuranath outside of Vrindavan. So this particular story is about Vrindavan. In Vrindavan, there was a fruit seller who basically they would come, the fruit sellers, they would come to different people's homes and you didn't pay them money. I mean, they didn't have a Square app on their phone or anything like that in those days. Because no one knows what that is. But actually, there was barter. You'd give them something in return, usually grains or something you had in the house, or gold or whatever. So anyway, the fruit seller comes to Krishna's house, and Krishna greets the fruit seller, and Krishna wants to buy some fruits. So he grabs some grains with his little hands, and because I guess he has space between the fingers, and all the grains basically slipped out except for a few little grains, and he offered them to the fruit seller. And the fruit seller, guess what? She looked at him and she became so overwhelmed with his beauty that she just gave him all the fruits. Not that she was thinking like we think, if I offer everything to Krishna, I get back unlimited. Yeah, sometimes I think like that, Well, if I serve Krishna, then maybe it'll be like Sudama Brahman, right? Sudama Brahman. They'll come back to my house instead of a dome in the forest, and there'll be a giant mansion with a swimming pool and so many, not maidservants, so many manservants, So, but she wasn't thinking like that. She didn't know that Krishna was God. And she just saw his beauty and just like, wow, she lost it. She gave up all of her fruits for just like one little piece or, little specks of grains. And of course, we know she turned around and she looked at her basket later on and it was filled with jewels. So that means that she was a pure devotee because Krishna gave her all this stuff and she understood all this stuff didn't belong to her. It was Krishna's. Yeah, that's a pure devotee's consciousness. So that's the fruit seller. Other stories about Krishna's beauty that come to mind. One is in Dwarka, of course. This is a Dwarka story of Krishna's marriage to Rukmini. She just heard of Krishna's beauty. She just heard from Narada Muni and other personalities of Krishna's beauty. And her mind became so captivated just hearing about Krishna's beauty. Why don't our minds become captivated? Huh? Why? Because Yesham Twantakatam Yanam Punyakarmanam Dikwandamoha Nimrata Pajanti Ram Shadadabra. Because we still have some inclination towards pop or sinful activities, so our minds don't really become captivated when we hear about Krishna. Isn't it? Yesham Twantakadam Papam Yanam Punyakarmanam. So anyway, so we have to have Shuddha Habimana, purified minds, and then we hear about Krishna, Mahaprabhu, Kirtana, and Richagita, Varitra, and Manaso. We're saying, and then we start what? Shaking in ecstasy and dancing. So Rukmini just heard about Krishna, and she became determined that I'm not going to marry anyone else but Krishna. Another story about Krishna's beauty, of course, the story I tell all the time, is the story of Dhanurdas and Sripad Ramanujacharya. That once upon a time, Dhanurdas was in love with his girlfriend. And he was so much in love with his girlfriend that he was fanning her and walking backwards and holding an umbrella over her head. Sometimes you see that with this. I remember being at certain Rath Yatras with, this is not a criticism. I paraphrase, maybe it is. But that some guru would show up and then the disciple would be fanning him during the Rath Yatra and holding an umbrella over his head. Not because he had beautiful eyes, but anyway. So, she was walking backwards, and basically the disciples of Ramanujacharya, they were making fun of the guy, but Ramanujacharya said, "Let me talk to him." So he talked to him and said, "Why are you doing it?" And this man said, my girlfriend has beautiful eyes." What was that song? Oh, what beautiful eyes! What great big beautiful eyes! Anyway, so and Ramanujacharya said, "I can show you someone with more beautiful eyes. Would you want that?" And he was thinking, "Where's that girl?" So he took him to see the deities, Bharata Daraja, and that was in the country story. And he saw the deities, and then he fell in love with Krishna. And then Rasa Varjam, Rasa Pritsa, Param Dristra Nivartate. And it was like a higher taste, And he still got married because he did like his girlfriend. So they got married and had a Krishna conscious marriage, and he was extremely detached. That's a symptom of one who is attached to Krishna. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asuvai Ragam Gyanamicharyad Ahoikatakam. A symptom of one who is attached to Krishna is that one gets knowledge, realization, not just rote learning, but some realization and vairagya. One becomes detached. Not detached means nirapeksha. Nirapeksha means like not interested, positively or negatively. It's not like I remember in the early days, some brahmacharis, they would just have negative attitudes towards women. And that was because of the dynamic of the opposite side of the same coin, attraction, repulsion. So we're interested in being attracted to Krishna. And Krishna's attraction, we have some nice verses here, Krishna's attraction is mentioned in many verses in the Vedic literatures. One verse, of course, the famous verse from the Brahma Samhita. Venam kanantamadavinda dalayak taksham avatam ashitam buddha sundarangam sundarangam kandarapakoti kamaniya vishesha shovam govinda madi purisham tamaham bhajami. Translation is, I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who's adept in playing on his flute with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head bedecked with peacock feather, of course, Krishna and Vrindavan, with a figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds and his unique loveliness, charming millions of cupids. And then from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's some really interesting quotes about Krishna becoming attracted even to his own beauty. This is from the Adi Leela, chapter 4. Text, some people like to look it up. Of course, no one here is looking up. Text 143. Let me read the Bengali. It's really nice. Amara Madhurya Nichanav Navahaya Swaswa Prema Anurupa Bhakti Ashvadaya. My sweetness is always newer and newer. Devotees taste it according to their own respective love. In other words, Krishna's beauty is dynamic. It's not static. It's always increasing. How is that possible? I mean, I haven't seen anybody in this world whose beauty is always increasing. Usually with the time factor, it's the opposite. There's another beauty decreases with time. Now here's the next verse. I'm not going to read all the Bengali because we don't have that much time. If I see my sweetness in a mirror, I am tempted to taste it, but nevertheless, I cannot. Next verse. If I deliberate on a way to taste it, I find that I hanker for the position of Radhika. So in other words, one of the reasons that why Krishna appears as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that he really wants to see his own beauty, not just in a mirror or in a lake like that. I mean, sometimes there's some descriptions that Krishna looks at his own reflection and becomes stunned. Who is that person? Isn't it? Who is that beautiful person? Who's that attractive person? And Prabhupada explains that Krishna's attractiveness is wonderful and unlimited. No one can know the end of it. Srimati Radharani alone can relish such extensiveness from her position in the Ashraya category. So she's the repository of love. Krishna's the Vishaya in this particular context. The mirror of Srimati Radharani's transcendental love is perfectly clear, yet it appears clearer and clearest in the transcendental method of understanding Krishna. In the mirror of Radharani's heart, the transcendental features of Krishna appear increasingly new and fresh. In other words, the attraction of Krishna increases in proportion to the understanding of Srimati Radharani. This is such a beautiful purport. Each tries to supersede the other. There's the competition in attractiveness. Neither wants to be defeated in increasing the intensity of love. Wow. Lord Krishna, in desiring to understand Radharani's attitude of increasing love, Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Here's some more quotes. Who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before, and which causes wonder to all. At last, I myself, my mind bewildered upon seeing this beauty, impetuously desires to enjoy it, like Srimati Radharani. So this verse is actually from the Lita Madhava, which Srila Rupa Goswami wrote. The beauty of Krishna has one natural, excuse me, strength. It thrills the hearts of all men and women, beginning with Lord Krishna himself. And then finally, the last verse in the CC. All minds are attracted by hearing his sweet voice and flute, or by seeing his beauty. Even Lord Krishna himself makes efforts to taste that sweetness. And now we have some quotes from the Nectar of Devotion about Krishna's beautiful bodily features. Any comparison of the different parts of the Lord's body to different material objects cannot factually be a complete comparison. Ordinary persons who cannot understand how exalted are the bodily features of the Lord are simply given a chance to understand by a material comparison. You know, just like we have this elephants and rut type of, it's a material comparison, but this is to help us understand. It's not that when you're doing it, utilizing a metaphor or analogy or something like that, a comparison, it's not that it's a complete understanding. It just points you in the right direction. So you can't challenge a particular philosophical point by challenging the metaphor. The metaphor is just to help with the understanding. It's not proof. It is said that Krishna's face is as beautiful as the moon. His thighs are powerful like the trunks of elephants. We heard this before. His arms are like two pillars. His palms are expanded like lotus flowers. You know, I guess I'm showing my palms. It's kind of funny. Anyway, I mean, I'm reading it and I'm thinking of palms. So that's why I put my palms. It's a natural response. His chest is just like a doorway. Broad. Just, you know, I guess that's why people exercise. Pump iron, you know. Like that. Actually, you see this sometimes when a lady walks in the room, the men expand their chest. It's just like happens automatically. So it's just like a doorway. His hips are dens. You know. So in other words, sometimes it's when you see Krishna's beauty, it's almost there's aspects like a woman's body than the material world. The hips are really big. And the middle of his body is a terrace. Here's another description of Krishna's body for the nectar of devotion. I love this. There are certain characteristics of different limbs which are considered to be very auspicious and fully present in the body of the Lord. In this connection, one friend of Nanda Maharaj, speaking about Lord Krishna's auspicious bodily symptoms, said, "My dear king of the cowards, I can find 32 auspicious symptoms on the body of your son. I'm wondering how this boy could have taken birth in a family of coward men." Because Vaishyas, they certainly look a certain way, and Krishna didn't really fit in. Generally, when Lord Krishna appears, he does so in a family of Kshatriyas, kings, as did Lord Ramchandra, sometimes in a family of Brahmanas. But Krishna accepted the role of a son to Nanda Maharaj, despite the fact that Nanda belonged to the Vaishya community. I'm skipping a little bit. Therefore, his friend, who may have been born. Just keeping an eye on this at the same time. Let me just continue to go on it on my phone. In a second. I don't want people to miss the class. It just takes a second to do this. Nonsense. Internet. Okay. There we go. Okay. We're into rain. So, turn it off. Hey. Okay. Oh, generally, we read this already. Pointed out the auspicious signs in the body of Krishna, the boy's foster father. The boy has reddish luster in 7 places: his eyes, the palms of his hands, the soles of his feet, his palate, his lips, his tongue, and nails. A reddish luster in these 7 places considered to be auspicious. 3 parts of his body are very broad: his waist, forehead, and chest. 3 parts of the body are short: his neck, thighs, and genitals. 3 parts of his body are deep: his voice, intelligence, and navel. Anyway, so I have some of the quotes here. Let's see. Oh, here. I just wanted to read Prabhupada's quote from the from the Lita Madhava. It's actually from the devotion. Regarding Krishna's attractive features being ever fresh, there's a statement by Radharani in the Lita Madhava in which Krishna is compared to the greatest sculptor because he is expert at chiseling the chastity of women. In other words, although chaste women may follow the rules and regulations and Vedic principles, become every faithful to their husband, Krishna is able to break their stone-like chastity with the chisel of his beauty. Most of the girlfriends of Krishna were married, but because Krishna was their friend before their marriages, they could not forget his attractive features, which were always fascinating to them, even after their marriages. Anyway, there's so many quotes about Krishna's ecstatic beauty. I have them here. Just one of the quote from Bhagavatam. Ayate sujata charanam buruham staneshu vita shanai priya tadimahi karkasheshu. My dearly beloved, your lotus feet are so soft that we place them gently on our breast, feeling that your feet will be hurt. Our life rests only in you. Our minds, therefore, are filled with anxiety that your tender feet might be wounded by pebbles as you roam about on the forest path. Okay, any questions or comments? We have to, actually, it's time to read these over time. So I guess that's it. All glories to His divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, my was turned it off. Radical Jai.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Vedam Gandam Maravindanalayakam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Dandako Vidamaniyam Visheshasukam Govindam Adipurusham Mahamajami Govindam Adipurusham Mahamajami Govindam Adipurusham Mahamajami Antariyasa Sakale Priti Manti Vasyanti Vanti Gayanti Chiraganti Ananda Maya Sadhu Jarati Grasya Govindam Adipurusham Mahamajami Govindam Adipurusham Mahamajami Govindam Adipurusham Mahamajami Govindam
Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gopani Pracha Nivasesha Shunyavagare Vasantade Sarande Nivasesha Shunyavadeva Sachare Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sade Gaura Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Radha Shiva Sade Gaura Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Shiva Sade Gaura Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Kinana Radha Kinana Radha Radha Kinana Radha Kinana Radha Radhe. Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans.